Hello cave dwellers, I hope you're doing well. Welcome to the cave. It's a huge week for the cave this week. This weekend, by the way, it's Monday morning at the moment. This weekend, so we've got the week to prepare, is the first paid for event at the cave. You can now come and visit the cave. You can book yourself a slot at rmcretro.com, click on the little visit the cave button, and you can book morning and afternoon sessions. And this weekend is what's called Colouring in the Cave, which is the first session of those who backed the colouring book that funded the building of the cave at the very top tier. So these are people with a very high expectation who have paid good hard-earned money to come and have a really special day out. It will involve a guest speaker in Stu, who is the illustrator. He's going to give a talk. It will involve a special lunch. It's got to be perfect. And you may think we're already there because we had the soft launch last year, just before the other COVID variant kicked in and we were all locked down again and we thought we were ready to go. Well, we had that soft launch, but that was made up of friends and family, and they didn't pay to come in, and they're of course going to be a little bit lenient. We did get some good feedback from them, but it's a whole nother level when you've got this expectation. And beyond this weekend, moving forward, we're going to be open regularly, so we've got to get everything spot on. So this week, we're going to dive into making things better, getting signage up, making certain exhibition areas better and more enjoyable for people to come and look at, just to make the whole place on another level again. That's my goal this week. I guess I better stop talking, roll my sleeves up. They're already rolled up. We're ready to go. Let's take this cave to the next level and let's get this spotless. And then at the end of it, before the public come in, I'll give you a tour. And then we'll get some footage, hopefully over the weekend, of the public enjoying them. And we'll try and have a chat with them and get their feedback on it as well. All right, let's make a coffee and then I'll start. Coffee and we'll begin. Let's go.
This episode, and indeed this project, is supported by monsterjoysticks.com, purveyors of quality joysticks for all of your retro kit. Joysticks, adapters, arcade control parts, and more. Check them out at monsterjoysticks.com, and we thank them for supporting the cave. Where to begin then to get ready? Well, it might not look too bad, but I've got some lab kit out, I've got some podcasting kit, all sorts dotted around the place, so I needed to clear the decks before we could make a good start on this. And I've also been thinking recently, I really do need a dedicated lab area. I tend to bring out the soldering iron and the hot air gun and everything that I might need onto those round tables, do the work, have to put it all away again. It's a bit disorganised. So I decided the best idea would be to clear out the storeroom. Yeah, the storeroom that we put stuff into not so many months ago. Well, since then we've rented a bit more space in anticipation of hopefully building the secret arcade. But there's enough space in there for both an arcade and storage. And I've allowed it to become a bit of a mess. So we decided to pull everything out of the storeroom and spread it all over the floor. And then move it into our new store area with some additional racking. And by the time we'd got all that up and everything put in there, it was looking a lot smarter and it's freed up that room. So I'm not going to build a lab now, that would be too much for this week. But we do now have the space and it's in the exhibition area behind that R door, so it could also become a part of the exhibition for people to look at in future. Back to the task in hand. The first thing that you see when you come in the cave is the reception and the gift shop. And I really wanted to smarten it up and also encourage people to browse and perhaps pick up a few mugs and trinkets and a bit of merch while they're there. So I picked up these old lockers on Gumtree. They were originally stacked one on top of each other to make one tall locker, but I've separated them to get them up the stairs. And the seller told me that they were themselves upcycled some 20 years ago by his grandfather. There are some holes on the underside and a faint label that says water in and water out. No idea what these were originally, but they'll serve a purpose for us. So I gave them a good wipe down, and what this is going to do is replace an old office desk with a bunch of boxes under them. That's where we keep our stock at the moment. So we went from this desk to our upcycled lockers, and I've topped them with some leftover wall cladding, which is just stuck on with some silicone, and I honestly think it looks pretty good. Inside, there's plenty of room for books and stock. You can even fit full vinyl records in there. So yeah, I think this is befitting of the decor that we have in the cave, but also it's very functional. And the total cost of it was £50. Not bad, I think. To further persuade people to browse the shop, I wanted to get even more merch out and in front of them and in front of the desk so people don't feel that barrier in front of them. So I put up one of our Apple Crate displays and made some nice big information and price signs for everything. And all of this stuff, by the way, is also available on rmcretro.store. If you wanted to get some delivered to you, go and have a browse. Next up is our troublesome Galaxian arcade cabinet. We're still working on fixing the fried board, and I refused to open up with an out of order sign on it, so I managed to source a nicely refurbished and tested board. Now, we've already done some work on the cabinet to make sure that the power supply is good and it's a nice clean supply, so I'm happy to put this new board straight in. Longer term, we are going to fix the original board, and then we'll be in a position to swap them out if they break. The idea being that we can have the arcade running at all times. But it did have me thinking, if we are going to add an arcade area to the cave, which is my dream, I really want to get there, it's going to be hard work because just keeping this one going is a struggle. So we need to make sure we've got spares and expertise to hand. And with the board in, Galaxian comes to life. It's great to see that screen again. Next, into the main exhibition area, and I've been working on signage. I've made over 60 signs this week, including these system guides. These each have a little bit of history on the system, recommended games, how to load games, as well as my personal memories and links to any relevant videos that we've made. Longer term, these will also be part of an exhibition guidebook that I'm working on, but I also want them to hand for anyone without a guide to be able to use them, so that nobody gets frustrated about trying to enjoy the systems and load a game. I've used some bulldog clips and some twine to put them up for people to grab, although at the last minute Richard suggested to me maybe clipboards would be a cool idea. And I think that's a really good idea. We could put a screw into the bottom of the shelves, hang a clipboard on there, and you can just lift it off, a nice wooden clipboard or something like that, and read the instructions and the history. So longer term I might just do that, but for now this is fine. In addition to the system guides, I've made over 35 signs around the cave to help, inform, and mostly encourage people to engage with the exhibition. So we had do touch signs instead of do not touch signs. And everything in cabinets is now properly labelled so people know what they're looking at, as well as some background information on a summary of the cabinet as a whole, and then drilling down to what the individual items are. And for the larger hardback signs, I used our friends at oneclickprint.com. We had large signs explaining our ambition to create the secret arcade if we hit enough patrons to budget to not just buy the machines but also to maintain them. I'm very nervous about getting into a position where we might get all of these arcades and then not be able to pay the bills. You know, we have to be very sensible about this. So we've got a big sign to encourage that. We've got signage in the toilets. We've got signage everywhere. And I have to say, as soon as the signage went in, up on the walls and in the sign holders, the whole exhibition felt quite different. It felt a bit more real, I guess. Kind of like a quite important piece of the puzzle had just suddenly fallen into place. And I really liked what that did for the feel of the space. Above our heads we put in blackout blinds into the skylights. I'd put one up in previously at the studio end to help with filming, but we wanted to make sure that we could control the light better in the hands-on area, as at a certain time of day the sun hits the TVs and it makes them impossible to see. So we've put them up, and also that will be good for filming longer term, just to have a more consistent light in all areas of the cave. Upgrades in the fake shop included this gloriously brown metal blind. That window looks into the backs of the magazines in the library, so it's not a particularly nice view. So I wanted to block it out, and these seemed to be in keeping. And we also put up a little extra slat wall, just to make the room feel a little bit more like it's a 360-degree shop, rather than having a plain wall on one side. That was just an offcut from our original shop fitting, and I had some pegs left over, so there was no cost involved, and that was nice and easy. A bit more upcycling now. I picked up this slim cabinet on Gumtree again. This isn't an advert for Gumtree, I've just been on there a lot lately. And it doesn't look like anything special, but it was the perfect size to go between the bookcases. And with a bit of imagination and the very last, I promise you this is the last bit of wall cladding that we have, the offcuts from that, we turned it into a cabinet for some of the pricier handhelds to keep them safe and to make it a bit more in keeping with the rest of the exhibition. I think it turned out okay, and again that was less than £50 to put all of that together. The rest of the work then came down to improving the exhibits. I managed to fill a few more of the plan drawers with fun things to look at, each with information signage as well to give some nice facts and some history on what's in the drawers. And I also had to make sure everything was secure, and the discs, for example, weren't going to slide out every time you opened the drawers and look terrible after a few people have been in there. I still love these drawers. To me, they're kind of like the retro tech equivalent of a Victorian butterfly collection. Next, I did a bunch more shrink wrapping. And when I wrap these things, it's not a life sentence to be forever wrapped. I'm happy to open them up again if people want to see inside them. But it just allows people to pick things up and look at them without damaging them. I mean, there's still a risk that things will get crushed. There is still a damage risk, but it does mean that sweat and finger gravy and things like that won't damage the boxes. And if they get a bit tatty, I can unwrap and rewrap them and hopefully keep things looking nice for people to enjoy for as long as possible. So everything that you see on the shelves is now wrapped and you can take them down and have a good look and get all nostalgic about them. At the studio end, I wanted to have the current episodes that we're working on display. So the Apple IIe and the Enterprise 64 are out for people to have a go on. And I will take the chance to interview people about the Apple, so you can look forward to that in a future episode. And that's another bonus for visitors. They might have the chance to actually be in a future RMC episode. More finishing touches included chalkboards to encourage people to play and have a goal to aim for. It can be quite overwhelming when you're presented with hundreds of games on an SD card, and I'm hoping that these little challenges will give some direction and some incentives and a bit of competition between the visitors perhaps. And nobody likes a dodgy joypad, so I checked a few over, made sure everything was working well, and the worst of which was one of the PC Engine pads, which felt just a little bit off. It didn't always register button presses. You can see the rubber there that goes beneath the A and the B button is barely hanging on, so I swapped them out and that was working as good as new again. It's now Saturday, so I made a quick dash to the wholesalers for supplies, including window cleaner. To keep the cabinets shining, you can never have too much window cleaner or Mr. Sheen. You've got to have lots of Mr. Sheen. I got snacks and I got drinks for the tuck shop and I threw it all in the car. And what an inspiring building the Booker Swindon wholesaler is. Beautiful. And I got all that back to the cave.
So a lot of hard work has gone in this week. A lot of hard work's gone in over the last year, but we're at the point now where I think I'm happy to let those paying visitors come in and I'm happy that they'll get value for money. Before we do though, I thought I'd act on a question that a lot of you keep asking me, which is, can you film a quick walk around tour of the cave? Because obviously I film in different sections and it's hard sometimes to visualize how all the elements flow together and just what the cave looks like as a whole. So I'm just going to grab the phone and we'll have a quick walk around and you can see all the different parts and then we'll be ready for the big day. But it's a good opportunity as the place is tidy. Let's do a quick tour.
As you enter the cave, the gift shop and the kitchen is on the right, with the Galaxian in front of you, and around and to the left are all of the tabletop games. These all belong to Mark, who will supervise the area on the day and help people to enjoy them, put batteries in them if they need them. He'll be managing that area. And then we'll take a walk around the perimeter of the hands-on area with the various systems all ready to be enjoyed. And if we glance back around to the right here, you can get your bearings. You can see that's the entrance and the reception and gift shop over there. Carry on round, and up here there's a television above us. That's the patron name scroller. So that periodically shows the agenda for the day and also everyone who's a patron. Over to the PCs, we've got 3 PCs laid out here from different eras, and then that leads up to Galaxian. Galaxian will have a high score challenge for people to take part in, as will IndyCar Racing on the 486. We've got a chalkboard there for people to play on it. And then if we come back around here, we can see is the library. That's what I'm going into here. And behind that is that space for the secret arcade, behind the signage in the corner there. And I've put some gloves on the table and a little sign to add a bit more drama and to protect the magazines. So that should be fun to watch. Into the fake shop now. Not a great deal has changed in here since we built it. The barcode scanner is working, and I've added signage to tell people how to use it. You've got to look for the little red dots on the backs of boxes to indicate that you can scan them. And you can see the blinds and the extra pegs flash by there. Back out into the main room now, and big chair is in front of big telly, which is dedicated to the Mr. Multi-system now, so you can play a ton of games on that, including multi-tap games like Bomberman. There's 4 joypads on it, so hopefully that will encourage some competition. The only thing left to do there is to put the little logo up on the wall, which is on top of the telly there. And then we turn back around to look at the cabinets and the studio end. And as we walk in there, on the left is the B&O television with there's an N64 and a PlayStation 2 on there at the moment. And then all of our cabinets, all with their signage up there. And that leads to the drawers, the centerpiece of the studio at the back of the cave there. And on top of that is our current trash to treasure systems. And finally, if we turn around, you can see the view from the desk where I sit, looking back across the cave. And so the day has arrived, and so are the cave dwellers. They're outside just turning up and waiting in the car park. Thankfully, it's a nice day for them to wait. And, well, I could tell you all about the day, but instead of doing that, I'm going to let them tell you, because I took the opportunity to chat to some of them, and we can hear their thoughts now and see how the day went.
It's awesome, absolutely awesome. I would, if you could put me up a camp bed, can I stay here for the week, please?
Yeah, it's been great. People have been fantastic. There's plenty to see, and the talks have been, enlightening. And I've got to ask a couple of silly questions.
It's fantastic. Absolute nostalgia trip. Very pleased to finally be here. Better than I expected, and I had high expectations.
I think I said to you earlier on when I walked through the door, I felt a bit emotional because it's like I've seen it so much on YouTube, and it's like to walk in and actually feel I'm actually in the cave. It's like surreal. But awesome. Yeah, fantastic. There's so much to do. Need another day, Neil.
Awesome. And do you have a favourite part or area of the cave?
Obviously, meeting you's nice. Meeting other people of other cave dwellers. We've just swapped numbers because we're quite close to each other. So we're both in Kent. Are you Sussex? He's Sussex. Yeah. But yeah, Kent Sussex border. So we're gonna meet up, have a beer, and have a bit of a retro. Yeah, definitely.
Can I come?
Yeah, of course you can.
Joe, how's your day been?
Fabulous. I mean, just to echo Kevin's thoughts, we've all watched this develop and grow. All of the cave dwellers and patrons and everyone else, and I think we all feel like we've been on this journey with you, and to be here today and enjoy it with everyone, all like-minded people. It's quite a niche hobby, and it's been fantastic. Really, really great.
It's been awesome. It's been really good. Yeah, it was kind of strange walking in and seeing what you've seen on the videos all these times in real life and going, okay, this is a real thing, this is impressive. The input magazines, I just lost myself for half an hour on, thinking that's kind of how I learned a lot of things to start with.
How are you getting on with the Galaxian challenge?
So tough, so tough. I don't know how we used to do it.
As I put in the guest book, reliving my youth is great. Reliving my youth with a load of people who are of the same attitude is been brilliant. Yeah, it's as much being in the cave as being with the people as well.
Brilliant, brilliant. Is there a favourite part or area of the cave for you?
Well, anywhere where there's an Atari, of course. that kind of gets my thing. The shop was very good. I was saying to one of the guys, it's very era specific, because trying to find all of the Atari games, it was all Commodores and the things.
Miscellaneous at the top.
Miscellaneous at the top. I thought, yeah, that's about right. That's how I remember when I was trying to buy my games. Actually, just it's in the miscellaneous areas. I thought that was brilliant.
I think I quite like the shop, actually. I mean, it's not something I'm familiar with, that style of shop so much, but it is a really nice room, and the scanning games to get them to work is brilliant.
Where did you buy your games in New Zealand then, if not a shop like that?
Usually a lot of the games were in sort of big chemists. Usually they were behind counters, so you could look at them through the glass, but you couldn't handle them. Much better being able to actually pick them up, and you had to ask to read the back of them.
Looking back on the day then, ultimately, it doesn't matter what I think, it really comes down to what the visitors think, and I was really happy with how those interviews went that you just heard, the thoughts and the feedback. And you know, they weren't just saying nice things because they were put on the spot. I got DMs and emails and messages after the event just to say thank you for such a nice day. So people were genuinely happy and did enjoy the day. And that's all I wanted out of it, for people to be happy. There were a few lessons learned from my point of view along the way. I mean, it all went very smoothly. The big one that sticks in my mind is somebody said to me, Neil, when are you doing your talk? And I thought, I've been so busy getting this place ready. I never stopped to think that people might actually want to hear me give a talk about the cave or about the channel or about, you know, a particularly rare machine. And the talks that did happen, I think they gave good structure to the day. So we had a tabletop talk, we had Stu Cambridge's talk, and it just gave people, I don't know, some direction, something to aim for, to know that the talk was happening at this time. We had the agenda up on the screen, and in between those times, you know, cram as much gaming in, get lots of chatting in. That was another thing. People did just as much chatting as they did gaming. They didn't all make a beeline for the machines. It took people a while to actually settle down and use the machines. They were just happy chatting to each other and meeting one another. So that was really nice to see. So yes, in future events, I will prepare a little talk, only 10 or 15 minutes. Maybe I'll wheel out a trolley with some rare micros and give you a little talk on them, or tell you the history of all the different caves, the evolution from the tiny basement that we had to the spare bedroom to all the way up to this cave. There's all sorts of things that we can build on to make days even better for people, but as a baseline, as a starting point, it couldn't have gone any better. I think I'm really happy, and I hope I'll see lots more of you here. And for those who can't make it here, because I know you're watching from all around the world, I hope that you'll be able to enjoy what we've done here in future videos, including more interviews. I interviewed more guests as they were here for the Apple II episode, and I'll continue to do that with other things that I want to review, because it's great to get other people's input and impressions on things and not just mine. And yeah, I hope to see you all here at some point, and I hope that you've enjoyed seeing the building of the cave. Of course, this isn't the end of it. I want to build the lab, I want to build the secret arcade. There's so much more to do here, and we've got the space to do it. So it's all pretty exciting. Anyway, thank you as always for watching. If you want to book yourself a ticket, head over to rmcretro.com. If you haven't subscribed already, please do so. Hit the older thumbs up on the video, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.